everyone. Am I audible? Yeah. Hi everyone. Let us start by knowing something very interesting. And that is, what if I tell you that most decisions shaping your life today are made by the things that cannot think, feel, or understand you? Look around yourself. The lights above your head, the microphone that I'm speaking into, the traffic signals you probably passed to get here, or even that barcode on the bottle of water. None of these things think. None of these feel. Yet, they make decisions every second. You know, there was a global report by the Chartered Institute of Procurement and Supply, which stated that around 90% of the businesses now run on digital systems. There was another peer-reviewed paper which was titled The Impact of Algorithms on Decision Making in Daily Life, which found out that around 55% of the people now feel that algorithms impact their everyday choices, from what they eat to where they go, everything. That means trillions of decisions every day are taken not by humans, but by code. But what does how can you understand this? There is one thing that we don't even talk about, and that is that these systems, they are running not on intelligence, but on instructions. Instructions made by humans and executed by machines, where even a single failure or a single error can bring everything to a halt. The impact you see is quite great, right? But you know, the engineers who designed these systems, who made these systems, they didn't expect everything to work perfectly. They expected things to break because of a very simple and genuine fact, which is that failure cannot be avoided. It can only be designed for, tested, and improved. And only later, we give this whole process a name. We call it by the engineer's favorite word, which is coding. Now, you guys might be thinking that why am I telling you all of this? Especially if you have not written even a single line of code. Or probably if you did, you got stuck in the middle and left it altogether. Trust me, I've been in that exact same place again and again. Hi everyone, I'm Harshit Rehan, and I'm a software engineer by profession. And beyond my job, I like to help students and early professionals in navigating this complex and scary journey of career and tech. And most of these people that I interact with, they have a very common belief, which is that if they're getting stuck, that means that they are not right fit for programming or for coding. But there is very interesting study that I want to show you all, which is by the ACM, that is the Association of Computing Machinery, which basically states that a professional software engineer spends around 35 to 50% of their entire working time debugging, resolving issues, fixing errors, validating code, and not making new features. This basically means that struggling or getting stuck is not a beginner phase in programming. It's actually the whole job itself. Okay, interesting. But yet, most of the students don't even understand this. They still feel that if they're getting stuck, they are probably doing something wrong. And I see the results every day, every week, every month of the year. A lot of students and professionals, they message me saying, I'm not able to do this, I'm getting stuck at programming, coding is probably not for me, others are better than me, and whatnot. And trust me, I understand this fear, because I've lived it myself. When I started coding in college, I thought that coding is all about intelligence, writing perfect code, memorizing syntax and whatnot. But of course, reality corrected me very quickly. I once remember that I got stuck on a problem for 5 hours straight. I did not have anything. 5 hours straight, and the problem was as small as a missing return statement. If there are any programmers or engineers in the house, they would probably know how small of a problem this is. But yet, I was stuck on it for 5 hours straight. And this isn't unusual. A lot of researches and studies, they show that most of the beginner programming errors are because they're getting stuck at minimal issues, like syntax issues or logical errors, and not because they lack understanding. Now, what I want you all to focus on is that logic mistakes or these minimum mistakes are not a part which can show that you lack understanding. But still, even if you know all of these things, you still see that if you're getting stuck at a particular problem, at a very tiny issue for so long, you are just left with one single thought in your mind, which is that maybe I'm not good enough, right? See, learning to code is practically more difficult, is actually far more difficult for the people than what we openly acknowledge. We openly say that it's easy or you can just follow all these steps and you would be good to go. But actually, it's far more difficult for far more people. And this is not just me saying this. There are researches backing about a lot of programming courses, and they say that a lot of failure rates, a lot of withdrawal rates, they range between 30 to 50%. Which means that most of the learners, they struggle early and they never move forward. And these struggles that they're facing is not even because of some advanced concepts or something like that. This is just because they are getting stuck at some minimum issues, these logical issues, these syntax issues, and they are interpreting those particular moments as their personal failures. Now, you guys might be thinking that these are such minimal issues, these are such small issues, then why do these beginner programmers get stuck on it so easily and they make these repetitive mistakes more and more? The answer is not because they lack understanding or they lack ability. The answer is because their mental models are still forming. They are still in that learning phase. And that is why they are expected to make all these mistakes, all these errors. Right? I remember this one instance when I was in college and I was working on a very simple coding problem. Trust me, it was nothing fancy, nothing high-end. It was just a basic logical problem. I wrote the code, ran it, it didn't run. I updated the few lines, reran it, still wrong. I was shocked. I was like, what's happening? Why am I not able to do this? I rewrote the code again, and new errors started popping up. My whole confidence was shattered. After a few time, as time passed, I started thinking that problem started to feel more heavier than what it actually was. My heart started shaking and I was not able to write the code properly. I felt that I was not good enough to make these decisions, to make coding work. I started having thoughts in my mind that what if I am not able to do this? Why are others able to do it so perfectly? Is there some issue with me? And a lot of more self-doubt thoughts that come on. Eventually, I stopped. Not because I solved the problem, but because I was exhausted. And this is the exact same pattern that happens with hundreds of people. They face a problem, they get stuck on it, and they leave the room. If they're not able to solve it, they just leave the problem. They go away. And that's what happens when you treat this getting stuck phase as your personal failure. People stop experimenting, they don't try out new things, they avoid challenges, and they quietly feel that coding is not for them. These are all the issues. But what is the solution for this? Till now, I've just told you about all the issues that a particular beginner faces. But how can we resolve these issues? How can we make a solution for this particular problem? The answer actually is quite simple. The answer or the solution for this lies in how do you approach a particular problem? How do you approach when things break? Most of the experienced engineers, most of the professional engineers, they differ from the beginner ones not in how often they fail, but in how they respond to these failures. A professional programmer, instead of panicking or writing the code blindly, they slow down. They isolate the problem and they fix one thing at a time. This particular simple process is called debugging, which helps in turning your errors into information rather than judgment. And that's exactly what worked for me. After stepping away when I came back, I stopped rewriting the code blindly and I started reading the code line by line, understanding each line, understanding each function, and tracing the value of each and every variable. And finally, I was able to see that one small logical mistake that I've made, and I fixed it. Fixing it was easy, of course. It took seconds only. But the actual real shift was internal. From that moment, I stopped treating these getting stuck moments as my personal failure or that I'm not good enough. And I started treating these getting stuck moments as a part of the process. And this mindset doesn't just apply to coding, it applies to life as well. Whenever you are getting stuck at a particular thing which you are not able to solve, pause. Try to isolate the problem, try to break down the problem, see what's the issue, where the first break happened, and fix that one particular issue. And once you do that, you will be probably able to solve all the issues and you will be able to do it. And this is just because coding doesn't reward people who don't know how to fail or who never failed. But coding rewards people who know how to handle these failures. And that's a skill anyone in this room can learn. Thank you.